tried, here at this table, whether the sentiment has to be turned in terms of the ability to expend with the public's trust in mind, without any doubt whatsoever. And I'm thinking that, I know when I was in Los Angeles, when we did Downey Unified School District and we did Cerritos College, and I participated in the bond aspect, we have that built in no matter what. Because it is an outreach, and it is public relations, and it is about having a warm feeling and a supportive feeling from the community as well. I would strongly urge that you consider mitigate the damage is to have a public relations aspect.
Do you have any ideas about what that would look like?
I could contact my colleagues down south and find out exactly what we did and bring you back some ideas in terms of it. There are firms that are very good at it. I mean, very good. And that's what you need. I mean, the discovery of the forensic audit is going to come to sunlight no matter what. And it depends on how it's interpreted, how it's handled, and how it's dealt with going forward. So I'll get there.
Well, in terms of voting on another bond, I mean, I think we need to look at some of our projects and see if we can afford them. Can we afford a $220 million high school for 1,200 students? That's $167,000 per child. If we looked and trimmed the costs on that project, we would have more money for other schools to be renovated. And I don't know if this is the place to say that, but I strongly believe we need to, in light of some of the information that came out of the report from the grand jury, it sounds like we are 3 times higher than the average for school. Our schools cost 3 times more than the average school in the state.
Yes, I would compliment Liz on her thought. Simply from this perspective, the board has a chance and an opportunity now to take a look at best practices and past practices. Are you looking at schools from 2 point of view? And very brief. Is it renovation combined with new construction, or now is it an opportunity to take the precious dollars, go back and look to see whether or not there's new fall into renovation, and this renovation trump new. And if you look at the cost-saving aspect of it, I would sincerely consider it, because it was the philosophical approach that the board had in previous engineering administration in terms of the way you approach the way you are. If you look at the 54 schools and you look at the expenditures where you are, and you look at the amount of money that's needed and remains to basically go to an end point and say we've completed the master plan and these schools are built to last for the next 50 years, I think that is something that you're going to have to go back to staff and say, if we had to reappropriate or re-engineer, the plans and the dollars, what would it look like? If I was a board member, I would be asking that question, with a lot of audacity in terms of, do I need to go the route that I'm going, or do I go counterintuitive and say, hey, is there another way in terms of, being cost effective? Because look at it this way, it is a cost center. Now, being a banker for 35 years, I can tell you, once you treat it as a cost center, you're going to look at every brick and mortar dime being spent to determine whether or not your money is going to be well spent, whether it's renovation or is it new construction. Now, the culprit in all of this has been the change orders, and let's not be kidding ourselves, because there's a percentage that's proposed for new and for renovation in terms of change orders. OpEx, or operating costs, once you bring them into line, once you bring operating expense into line in terms of expenditures, then you have the control, then you have the vision to say, this is what the district is going to be like. There is a vision in this room for what the district is going to be in terms of these schools for the next 15 years. But is it cost appropriate? And I would leave that to the board.
Okay, has hands over to Maureen.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment regarding going back and re-engineering a school that is in the community that I represent. You want to approach that very cautiously. That wouldn't necessarily result in passage of another bond. That might go the exact opposite. The school, Mill Valley High School, has been on the list for a number of years. The way that the expenditures of this program have occurred is with equity throughout the district. And those communities helped the school district determine what were their priorities. Pinole has 2 elementary schools that have not been touched. Some communities have a high school that hasn't been touched, but it's the goal is to have equity throughout the district so that you then have support for future bonds. You don't go through and do everything in Richmond and then come back and ask Richmond voters to go and vote for another bond that's not going to support any schools in their district because they were first in line. So, I think I would just caution that approach.
Well, I know it's very difficult, it would be a very difficult circumstance to put the brakes on and maybe, redo the plans, but I think we should be able to build that school for less money. I'm not talking about not building it. That's a very expensive school.
I just want to come back to the forensic audit. Well, yeah, in appointing this on the forensic audit, do we need to, when I read the grand jury thing, it seemed like some of them had to be responded to by September, and some of it seemed to involve the forensic audit. So does the forensic audit need to be, or at least the forensic audit was mentioned, maybe it didn't need to be started, I wasn't sure. That's what I'm asking, does the forensic audit need to be done by the time we take response to the grand jury? Or does it just need to be ongoing as stated? Because some of the things that they pointed out here, it said would be addressed in the forensic audit. That's my question.
One of the challenges we haven't just really discussed is, we set some direction earlier, we don't have a terminal point.
I understand, but just as we're going through the process of picking the attorney, accountant, everything else, if some of that's got to be done in order to respond to this, then we can't have such an open-ended process in picking the person to get going on.
It's the board desire to have this over with as quickly as possible and get through it and be as thorough, but expedient. Further questions on B2?
This is a public meeting. You've got a large room, people sitting in the back, and some people's voices are going to carry very well. Mine was a little bit loud. His block is very loud. Yours is very soft. Anton's is even softer. We've got microphones here, 2 of which are sitting in front of empty seats. Maybe I could just request that we use the microphones. I'm pretty sure that, I know I'm recording this, and that'd be for sure. We can't record what we can't hear.
Absolutely.
Appreciate your help.
Good point.
Especially when you've got personal conversations